Hello, my name is Amanda, and welcome to Back to the Heart, a podcast for self discovery, healing, and embracing true freedom. And I invite you to join me as we embark on a transformative journey back to your heart, where we get to choose love over fear. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things? Checking every box for success, growth, purpose, but still missing something? Maybe the path isn't meant to be straight. Maybe the curves, the pauses, the bumps, the moments of doubt are the journey. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend Anmol Singh, who is the author of Prepping for Success. He's the founder of Live Traders and the creator of Evolve Mastermind. He's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Fox, and Reuters. Anmol blends mindset, spirituality, and real world success to help people lead with integrity and live in alignment. In this episode, we'll explore what it means to live by your word, how integrity and self trust shape your success, and why the next step doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be real. If you are ready to move from knowing to embodying and to trust yourself, even when the path ahead isn't clear, this conversation will bring you right back to the heart. All right. Welcome. My dear friend Anmol is here today and going to be sharing some of his journey with us. We have all been on a healing journey. And as I always talk about how important community is and how it's been for me, Anmol has been part of my community. And we have had an incredible plant medicine journey and life experiences together. Tell us about your journey, how you get started and how you got back to the heart and found your gifts and shared them with the world.
Yeah, I feel like journey, that word like totally symbolizes my life. It's been a journey. I've moved around a lot growing up, and I think I was always on my journey even as like a teenager. Like I would read books on philosophy and all these other different concepts as like a 15, 16-year-old. Because in my mind, I was like, there's something missing. I think that was kind of the voice in my head, like, there's something missing. You got to learn more. You got to figure something out. You didn't get the memo. Like I always felt like that in growing up, even in high school and all the way to college. Like there's something missing. I maybe didn't get the memo somewhere, and people have moved on with their lives. And I felt like there was, the belongingness was kind of the issue that I had. Like I never felt like I fit in, never felt like I belonged. And I was like completely shy, introverted, which, I am at the moment, but I've just learned to kind of open up a little bit more. So for me, it was always a journey, figuring out psychology, figuring out people, seeing it in my own household. I have two sisters. I'm the youngest child, and all the stuff with a big, massive family that comes with like an Indian family and all living together. There was a lot that I had to deal with, and I learned to analyze people and okay, what moves them. And my hope was that in so figuring other people out, I can figure myself out and see, okay, where do I need to improve? So I've always been in that journey. And, that journey led me to leaving India at like 17 years old, moving to London to do my university degree in college and everything, studied there. And I used that almost like a fresh start, like I felt like, okay, nobody knows me here. I'm moving to a new country. Nobody knows me. I can be whoever I want to be. I can create my identity. I don't have to live through the perceptions that maybe people had in the home country of me or I had of myself. So I use that as an opportunity to really like work on myself and, learn how to get out of my shell a little bit, learn how to communicate. And it was just like a series of skills that I've stacked over time, learning communicate being one, maybe getting in better shape than I was second. And then I was like, okay, what's next? Got to sort out the money game. And then you get all the things with the money game and everybody tells you, Anmol, when you get the money game, it's not the only thing. It's not the end goal. You got to work on yourself. And at that time, I'd be like, yeah, come on, let me make it first. Let me make the money first. And I'm not going to be that idiot that, ends up spending all that money or falling into your own temptations and desires and lust and all of that stuff. I was like, I'm not going to be one of that. Like, I've had better examples. There's no way I could be that guy. And lo and behold, you get that dream and you fall into the same age-old traps that money comes with. And that put me on a completely different path because I thought at that point I've got it all figured out. I've got the money part, I've got the health part a little bit down, got the communication, so I'm set. And then that opened like a whole different can of worms that I had to work through. And I'm still working on. Like it's a journey, as you said, right? So we're always on it. But I think the prep work is done, and now the real journey begins, where we start actually implementing everything that I've worked on and I've learned, and it's now time to apply it. So the first book that I wrote, Prepping for Success, was just originally I wrote it for myself. I'm like, okay, here's the 10 things that I need to do in my own life to achieve the success that I wanted. So it's almost like notes to myself. I was writing a book that I wish somebody gave me, like when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I wish somebody gave me that book. And I spent a lot of time hiring coaches and mentors and events and retreats and all the stuff that I did on myself. And then I tried to find the common themes. What are like the themes that literally everybody keeps saying to me, right? What are the common themes that not only personal development, but spirituality and religions and everybody agrees on? So the 10 keys are like really well researched based on what has scientific evidence, right? What actually helped me in my own life. Because after writing the book, I never published it. It was just like, I'm going to first apply these 10 keys and see if they actually work, if they do need to move the needle in my life. And once they finally did, I was like, that has to be out there. So I think that was the inspiration for the first book. And before writing, I'd never written anything except for like a blog post for my website. Like I'd written nothing. It was such a hard process just sitting down. But in that sitting down is when I realized how tough it is for me to just sit down without a device, without just writing and letting my thoughts flow. That was a really hard process. So I remember like I was like, you know what? Got really frustrated. I don't think I can write this book. I don't think it's for me. I'll just speak it. And then when I said, oh, I could speak it. So I just took an audio recorder and I just went on like a long, like 3 hour just walking, And in that walk, I just narrated the whole book. And then I had it transcribed. And then I hired an editor. I'm like, okay, now the pieces of the book are here. Just arrange it in chapters. So that's how the book came into fruition. And then the second and the third book, it became more and more easier as I got comfortable with just sitting with my own thoughts and just letting them flow, not trying to get it perfect, not trying to articulate it 100% the correct way. I mean, even in my book now, you might notice some spelling or grammar issues there, but it's not my first language either. I'm like, as long as you get the context of it, that's all that matters. And a lot of my work now these days is just sharing everything that has worked for me, and everything that hasn't worked for me, and just maybe shortening the learning curve for those that I'm helping or those I'm helping. Yeah, and mostly right now it's to do with the mindset and the trading and investing in the markets is what I primarily do for a living. But one of the things I noticed is even though I'm coaching them on how to make money and how to be investing and how to be in the stock market, the difference maker between people who made it in that career and the people who didn't was right in here. Their money beliefs, like all these things come back to the same thing, which is your mindset and psychology. And that's what I do. A lot of my work now is I help traders, investors, business owners just really move the needle, whether it is they're starting a new podcast, whether it is they're starting a coaching program, whatever it is, because I've done that all, right? I have trading, investing experience, I have coaching experience with the mindset that I help people with. But then online is all pretty much my businesses are online, right? And then companies that I've invested in are all online. So like I've learned the ins and outs of like running a company and running a business. So I'm trying to see how do I not put myself in a bucket of just being a trader or just being like a coach. I'm just like, hey, I'm here as a resource. This is my life's resume, and I can help you in this. So that's sort of my new method or kind of what I do now. But going back to what you said earlier, is like the journey, right? So in a journey, like the path, like if let's assume it's like middle of the night and you're trying to walk in the woods, the path where you're trying to walk down, the final destination, is not going to be visible. It's going to be dark, right? It's going to be completely dark. But one thing I always have trained myself to do is no matter how dark that journey or that path is, but the next step is always going to be visible. The next step is always going to be clear. So why don't I just take the next step? And then I take the next step. And I take the next step. Eventually, as I keep stepping forward, the path will reveal itself. Almost like back in the day when you played video games, Age of Empires or games like that, where the map you can't see it, but as your player starts moving through the world opens up, like the map opens up. So that's sort of how I guess, use my introverted gamer personality from back in the day in a real life application now.
Yeah, well that makes sense with, why the mindset, work. coincides with what you're doing, whether it is with the coaching or with the trading or anything, is because that's so powerful that if you get in your head about what's next and not knowing, 4 steps ahead or 10 steps ahead, then you're not even going to take that next step. So that mindset is the the first and primary.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you like me know people who have such amazing intentions and such amazing business ideas, perhaps, or such amazing ideas for their own lives and their relationships. But if the psychology, the mindset, the heart, if it's all not aligned, no matter how great those ideas are, or they could have the best board of advisors or the best, business coaches, they still will find a way to sabotage either themselves or find a way to get in their own head, as you just said, and just stay there and they never get out of their head and take action. It's a sad thing that I really am focusing on fixing because I was in that and I still kind of go into that, but now I've just learned to come out of it really quickly. Whereas in the past, I could linger there. And I think that lingering is not appreciating the time that God or universe has given us, right? Because why are we lingering? Like if you believe that you are it, right? You are the one. And if you believe that, God or spirituality, universe, whatever you believe in is within you, then there's nothing to be scared about. You got to take that action. And even if it doesn't work, it's only to show you why it didn't work. And then you take those lessons and you move on to something next. The quicker we can get out of the cycle of just thinking or planning and just get into doing really quickly, then the sooner we can fail. And if it doesn't work, we can move on to the next thing. Rather than imagine wasting
Yeah.
like 5, 10 years on one thing and then finally getting the courage to do it and it doesn't work. Now you just wasted the time. I'd rather try right now, fail, and then move right back on something else.
Well, and like you were talking about with starting to put together the transcript for the book. And, in my mind, the story is that's going to be so difficult. It's going to be so challenging to write a book. Well, I'm not that great at the grammar, whatever it is. And that's what gets into people's ways so many times, is thinking that everything has to be so damn difficult, but it really doesn't. When you
Mm.
set your mindset and you believe it, like you said, it is going to work itself out. All I need to know is, what can I do to make that one step and be consistent with that one step forward in that direction? Then the other pieces are going to come into play. The connections are going to come. The timing is going to work itself out. It may not be the path that you thought it was the direction you're going to take, but we're not meant to take any, direct, straight path. It would get pretty boring.
Yeah, and I don't even think there are any straight paths, even in our life, right? You walk down your street, it's never like straight, it's going to curve, it's going to move around. I think as you observe life from that way, how nature is, because if you've studied Hermetics or Hermes Trismegistus, he talks about as above, so below. So if you start noticing life, notice water, no matter how still it is, or notice a river, it might appear straight, but then eventually it's going to curve, it's going to follow the natural course of life. And same thing, you walk on in the street. Yeah, it might be a straight street in your, in your neighborhood, but as the street ends, it's going to curve. So that's what life is. It could be straight for a little bit, right? And it's eventually going to curve. The more you can come to acceptance with the fact that it is going to curve, and that's just okay. I'm going to curve with it, kind of like what Bruce Lee said, right? Move with the water or move like water. And I think that kind of mentality will always keep you ahead. And just focusing on the next step and the next step. And if you actually just focus on just the next step and not the whole way, all the steps are actually going to be pretty straight, right? Even if it's a curve there, but the next step, you're just moving in a linear line. So I think that is my philosophy right now is just take the next step. Be like Apple, release the iPhone. It might be crap, then just update it later. Send an update later, but release it first. But most people never release their gifts, it just stays inside of them. Like you have a book in you, right? Everybody has a book in them, your own life experiences, and it's our own limiting beliefs of who's going to read it. Get it out there, even for yourself. Even if nobody reads it, the fact that you got it out there will give you so much healing to get your own thoughts on paper. That's level one of
Yes.
manifesting.
100%. And, whenever you told that story about writing the book, you actually said it wasn't even my intention that I was going to sell it. I was writing it down, more for organization of my own self. Whenever we realize that we can be centered in ourselves, if we have this idea we can be self-centered, but we center in ourselves and back to our hearts, then we can actually alchemize things in that path, that it is going to help other people. Whenever it helps yourself, whenever I started this podcast, it was like, if I help one person with sharing my message and my experience, like what you're saying in the book of I've done all of the things and let me share this voice, let me share this message, bring on people like yourself who've gone through different experiences and be able to share what's worked, what hasn't worked, and just let people know that they're not going through that journey alone.
To your point, there is just about believing. A lot of times we think, okay, if it helps like one person or one more person, forget about that. What if that conversation just helps you in a certain way?
That's it.
Yeah, and that helps you
That's where it was.
show up and be that leader, right? Then indirectly you're going to cause the impact anyway. So it doesn't even need to be that the podcast is going to cause impact, but if it helps you show up in a different way, you build connections to people, and then you start something of your own because of the some inspiration that you got with the conversation you had, and now you can indirectly impact people anyway. So whatever we do is going to impact people. Even if we don't do anything, it's still impacting people. So regardless, you are impacting people. Just how you want to impact, that's our free will that we've been given.
Yeah. And it helped that one person being yourself. Right.
Mhm.
And that was with the podcast. I had no idea how much it was going to impact me personally. The first idea was, oh, others. And then it was like, wow, no, this is me. This is just me being able to collect my thoughts and my gifts and share that inspiration out there and share in anticipation for writing a book and sharing that to the collective as well of just here's my thoughts of how did this actually work, because so many times we just go through the motions of what's happening with life, and to actually look back and see an order, it helps us reflect and embody
Mm,
that new version of ourselves so much more. In this course that I'm taking with Mark England, this level 2 certification with Enlifted is about celebrating wins and
mm,
celebrating progress, and writing that stuff down is so incredibly powerful. Even if it's how have I improved or what have I experienced in the last 60 days or the last 6 months. It's been 6 months, like you were saying, that since you and I saw each other, and so much has happened, evolved, expanded for me as an individual and all around me in 6 months.
yeah.
For me to write it down and reflect on it, seeing the words and reading the words is so much different
Mm.
than even just thinking them.
I can't even believe it's 6 months. Like I was telling you earlier, beginning of when we started the podcast, 6 months, it feels like lifetimes ago.
I
But
know.
imagine how beautiful it is, like, 20 years from now, fast forward, right? Either your family or your kids or even yourself and your partner 20 years later you watch some of the videos that you did in the past and just being able to watch that back knowing that this will exist until we press delete and even then it might exist so it gives us such a beauty that 20 years from now we could go back and revisit the podcast and just see how far things have come. I think that in and of itself is a beautiful thing. And yeah, Mark's great. I had him on Evolve in a mastermind group give a talk as well.
Yeah. Tell me about what is Evolve?
So Evolve is a mastermind group that I put together. The intention behind that first was to help people in all areas of their life because I've been helping them with the financial aspect, but me myself realized that, you get the financial stuff and if you don't have other aspects of your life in order, that could be a problem, right? Because you try to overcompensate and you make up for it with just the financial piece. So as I was working on myself and as I started, improving my own quality of my life, and then surrounding myself with so many amazing people I've met over the years, like coaches and mentors and stuff like that, and inviting them all into Evolve so that we can help all the members grow in other areas of our life. So mindset, financials, all right, I got you. Health, other things, I'm going to bring on other speakers for that. I'm not the expert in that. And I think there's also a level of humility where in the past I would be like, no, I'm not gonna collaborate with anybody. I'm gonna do it by myself and I'm the expert in everything. But then realizing, no, you're not, right? And having that ability to collaborate with people, bring on more energy and more vibrations into the group. And there's clearly things that other people are way better than me at. And why don't I let them talk about health? Why don't I let them talk about spirituality? Why don't I let them talk about, sales or business? And I can focus on what I do best, which is helping them with my own life's journey through the mindset to the spirituality aspect and also just to the stock market finance and investing so I can be in my own thing. but also not put myself in a box that I'm just a trading coach. And evolve is we're all trying to evolve to the best version of ourselves. So that's sort of what the group is about.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's so much more fun and quicker really for you to advance in your healing journey whenever you're doing it with a group of other people because you're learning from each other and it's just so incredibly powerful and I always share that if people are not part of a community to find one and regardless of who it is that you feel like you vibe with or don't just pick one that feels like the right energy, check it out and be inspired and help each other because we're all doing this together. And like you said, there's different specialties and different experiences that match up with where your energy is or where you are in your life. And maybe it is more focused on the health, or maybe it's financial or spirituality or plant medicine or anything, but just find the one that works.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest piece because without that I would be barely where I am today because moved when I was 17. I had no friends moving to a different country, I had no community. And by attending a lot of these events and just getting
Mhm.
out there a lot more, then you build those connections that you can truly be yourself with. Because I'm more myself with people that I meet at events and stuff than I am like with my own family. And I think that,
Same.
yeah, and I think a lot of people feel that way. We're
Yeah,
not alone in that. A lot of people are in that boat and so community could be anything. You don't need to paid community. You don't need to join Evolve. You could be a local church. You could be a local meetup, just some group that you can be yourself with. And then you can
yes.
talk about life stuff without the small talk or how's work and everything, but like really get to the heart of the matter. And community could just be two or more people getting together. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Exactly. And that's what the original church
Hmm.
was designed to be, is just a group of people getting together and being able to share with each other in vulnerable states and learning and healing and growing together.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of benefits to that. In religions and churches, people are getting together, they're worshiping, but what they're really doing is they're singing, they're getting the vibrations out, gets them to feel, gets them to open up. And there's no trying to look cool or pretend, you're just letting it flow. And the same thing in Native American cultures that by attending a lot of the events that I'm associated with, Native Americans have the same thing. It's just instead of worship, it's called song circle, right? But it's the exact same thing. And that was sort of my inspiration recently, actually, at an event that I went to, that I started really contemplating on religions. I've always been fascinated. I've studied pretty much all the religions out there, not as a way of being a part of it, because I never aligned myself with a specific religion, but I was always curious because I'm like, the truth exists somewhere in here. And I studied from to spiritual groups to religions to even a lot of cults that I've, been in for the purpose of studying and seeing what moves people and what drives people and what are they really looking for. And the commonality is everybody's looking for a community, right? They all just want people that they can be themselves with. Nobody's joining a cult to be under control. They're joining because it brings the community, right? So it's like these kind of things that I started really thinking about, and maybe it'll be a book for someday, but I didn't write it because it was going to be controversial. But it was about finding God. That was kind of the title that I came up with. And maybe one day, 5 years from now, I will, once I've got my thoughts gathered out, it'll be there. But I started writing that just in the woods over like 3 days. And yeah, I think that a lot of the truths that I discovered from combining all these traditions. But yeah, Native American song circles, singing together, vibrations, drums, it's the same thing.
Here's my soft talk challenge from my wall from Mark's class. You said maybe, kinda, one day. I'll write that,
I
but it's
love it.
controversial. I think you should take out that and just do it. Don't maybe,
Yeah,
kinda, one day. Just do
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
powerful stuff. We're at a place where people are ready to hear that message now.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be out there. The day, I'm not sure, because it's like I want to be sure that I didn't miss anything. So like I feel like maybe it could be a version two. Maybe I could get the version one out. But it's like
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more that I'm currently on a path of, like diving into some, Egyptian traditions and some of the books that I'm currently reading that are impossible to ever find online, but I got my hands on some of them. So I'm maybe I'm in my perfection mode where maybe there's a maybe word again, but perhaps I'm in my
It perhaps is on the list
is
too.
that on the list too? Oh shit.
Yeah,
There you
probably, perhaps,
go.
feels like, guess, maybe, might, could, possibly,
All of those things.
hopefully, try, one day, should, almost
All
like,
right, so I think what it is
I think.
is that a part of me wants to, like, going back to what I was saying earlier, I'm not following, I guess, my own next step part, but I'm probably again, that's a great catch. Now I can't
It's
stop catching
powerful,
myself.
man. It's
Yeah.
powerful. That's why I keep this on my wall and notice how often I do it. I mean, and we're doing it, whenever we're in these
Yeah.
classes and people are reading out their stories. And I'm like, oh my God, they just said that. I
Yeah.
just said that.
It'll definitely be out in the next 24 months. It's just I want to make sure that the book has an ending that people can take away with, so it just doesn't become another piece of information, another book. They're like, yeah, I kind of know that, but I'm like, okay, what's the takeaway here? So that's the point that I'm kind of pondering, and it's going to come to me, and I think it'll be the perfect time for
Yeah.
whenever it's meant
Well,
to be out there.
it may be one of those things that just, what if you got started with what you have, and once you start getting that out, like in written format, then it will come together and the ending you'll know. Thank you so much for tuning in to Back to the Heart. If this episode speaks to you, please take a quick second to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to come back to their heart too. And I have something special coming up on October the 29th. I'm hosting a live virtual workshop where we are going to talk about the language and the mindset and the embodiment tools to help you rewrite the stories that have been holding you back and keeping you stuck. You can register now at the link below in the show notes. I'm so excited to see you there. All right, let's get back to the conversation. What do you think has been one of one of your daily habits that has really helped you to stay focused whenever you have those moments where you get a little bit off track, and what helps bring you back to you?
Yeah. So there's a few different things that I do every single day, but before I dive into that, I just, anybody who's listening, just know that you will fall off course now and again. Like there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect routine. It's just the perfect routine for you, right? So you gotta look at everything as just like, you're going to a clothing store, you're just trying on a t-shirt, right? Sometimes some t-shirts fit, you keep them. If they don't fit, you know, try something else on. So all these things are tools. And early in my life, I used to be really hard on myself. Like, but no, I gotta journal, I gotta meditate, I gotta cold plunge, I gotta do sauna, like I gotta do all these things I've learned from all these podcasts that I've watched. I gotta do all these things. And I kept failing, right? I'll do it one week and then next week I fall off course. Or I'll do this one thing, the other thing I won't do. And I started like sort of being hard on myself until I was like, okay, these are just t-shirts. I'm just gonna try it on. I tried this one, not for me. Willing to discard it and just be willing to try something else on. I think to give yourself that grace, number one, that if you do fall, of course, it's totally okay. Just get back on it. Don't wait for another like solar eclipse before you get back on it. Just get back on it, right? With me, some of the habits are journaling, right? The success journal. Like I'm religiously just doing that every day because I want to write down what my six things that I want to focus on the night before. So when I wake up, there's no question in my mind on what I'm going to do, right? There's no question on, gee, what am I going to do today? No, no, no. It's all planned out the night before. So then I know, and I'm just simply going by my schedule, right? I'm just knock those six things down. And some days I can knock those six things down by 12 o'clock, by noon. Now I have rest of the day to guilt-free spend however I want to spend. Whether I want to do nothing, I want to play golf, I want to watch TV. I don't really watch TV, but if I did, I could do that. I could guilt-free do whatever I want to do once I accomplish those six things. Now, some days are going to require me to be at my desk till 9 or 10 p.m. to get those six things done. But the key is the six things get done. So I think that is like a habit that I have to go by. And the other thing is starting my day with something positive. So for me, like I read books, like I get these page a day books where it's like September 21st and just one page for that day. And it's just like either motivational stuff or spiritual stuff or, whatever you're reading at that time. And I just read like 6, 7 pages every morning, but the first thing when I wake up. So I'm already feeding my mind, like I'm starting the day with, in essence, so to speak. So then that's how I live the rest of the day. And I think that has changed a lot for me rather than reading later in the day, just starting my day with those thoughts. The whole thing is to getting in the routine of doing something that you would normally not do and setting the tone for the day. And that'll give you the motivation and the fuel to tackle all the other hard things that are going to come throughout the day.
Yeah, that's really smart. And especially as an entrepreneur, and whenever you have that freedom in your schedule, and ultimately, isn't that what most people want is freedom, whether that's, financial freedom or their time freedom. But if you have a specific intention for that day, to start out with that, because I had definitely been one of those people who have gotten caught up in, okay, well, what do I do today? Because I
Mm,
didn't have a plan the day before. So that intentionality of the night before really does set the tone, because I can see on the times that I don't have a plan, but there's pieces that are there, again,
mm.
not written down. It goes crazy in my head. So then it's going to affect your sleep, and then that's going to affect the way you wake up and you start off the day. So having that written down and organized, I love that. And the success journal. So the successes that you're writing down, the a success from that current day, and then the six things for the
Mm.
next day.
Yeah, so you reflect on the day, what went well. So you're ending the day with the purpose of that is to end the day with gratitude. You're training your mind to focus on what went well, right? And then you look for reflections. What are some areas of improvement? Where could I have shown up a little bit better, right? So then that gives us the learning lessons. And then we take the learning lessons and what went well, we combine our six things off. Okay, these are the six things I want to do. And you'll sleep like a baby because there's nothing to think. You already wrote it down, right? You got it out of your mind, out onto paper. It's out there now, right? And now you can just sleep knowing that when you wake up, your day is already designed, and that gives you an element of freedom. And also, that is manifesting right there. A lot of people ask me, manifestation, how does that work? The first step of manifesting is something was just a thought, right? It was just a thought, it was just an idea in your head and you already got it down in paper. You already have a physical manifestation of your idea right there. That's step one, right? The step two and step three will come. How do we bring that into fruition through our actions, through karma, as the Hindu traditions talk about? How can we use our karma to bring that into our life? But that's step three, four, and five of manifestation. Let's do step one first. Just get a thought, an idea, write it on paper. Now you have a physical manifestation of what was once just a thought. That in and of itself is a great start. And for people starting out, if it's not six things, do start with one thing. What's one thing I need to do tomorrow? What's the main thing I want to do tomorrow? Right? Then make it two, then make it three, and see how far you want to go. Six is not like a magical number. It's just something that I landed on. But you could do three, you could do one, you could do five, you could do eight, like whatever floats your boat, as long as you just, there's at least one thing that you're physically manifesting by writing it on paper. And that's why I'm a big proponent of physical paper and like journals and stuff. You could do it online. I mean, a lot of people do, but there's something old school. Our brain's been evolving in that way. It's something about writing it down. The muscle of that takes the worries away. They take the doubts away and gives you great sleep because it's out there and it's gonna be there in the morning when you wake up. So I think knowing that is it gives you a lot of freedom.
And
Mm,
writing it down slows it down,
a lot.
which
You know,
gives you, whenever you slow it down, it gives you so much more clarity.
absolutely. And a lot of times, when we're typing too, we're looking down, in the keyboard, we're looking down on the screen, but we're just kind of typing, but we're not feeling. So when we start writing, our muscles involved, our brain is involved, and we're actually reading what we're writing at the same time. So we're getting double the thing. And while you're reading something, there's the inner voice too, which is also reading it. So there's also a voice. So the more things we can bring into our intention, right, in many different ways, that is a great thing. So another thing that I do, which might be a little bit weird for some people, is every other week I'll record a video, sort of to either my future self or whoever you're trying to, or whatever you're trying to bring into your life, and I just record a video, and it's just like, hey, here's what I'm worked on this week. Had a great week, blah blah blah, and here's what I'm working toward. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to meet you, and I'm like almost recording a video to the future version, almost like it's already out there. It's already happened, right? And I'm just sharing, hey, to get to that vision, here's the things that I did this week, and I'll watch it maybe once in a while, right? And I just watch my old videos and seeing, so that is feeding your mind in a different way. So writing down is one thing, recording it is one thing. There's voice notes that you can record, right? But listen to, put on your headphones, listen to your own voice, right? If I ever do guided visualizations, I'll record it in my own voice because it's just something about that. And there's been some research about it where how you listen to things in your own voice, that it goes straight into your unconscious way faster than listening to somebody else's guided hypnosis or visualization. So that is how I learned to do a lot of this myself for myself. And I've been using those tools with members of my community and just to see it's resonating and it's actually causing actual like measurable change is just amazing because these are all tools that I just use for myself to get better. And now to see that they're helping others is just amazing.
And my next question is, what would be something that you are most proud about of yourself?
Hmm. I would
Like
say the
it,
fact that no matter how tough it got, like I always had hope, right? I always had faith that I'm going to figure it out. It just might take me longer than most people. But the fact that I just keep going. I had so many setbacks. I had so many things go wrong in my life, so many things completely out of plan. But man, I just like, I'll get down on myself a little bit and I just get back on. And I think, so I give myself praise for that. And I'm really proud of that. Is like, I just keep going. Like, because there's just, I have a lot of hope in myself, right? In just universe that things are gonna work out, and whatever doesn't work out, I just have developed or an ability, as I wrote in Prepping for Success. The last chapter is the silver lining, right? I've trained myself. No matter what goes wrong, what's the bright side here? What's the silver lining? What did I learn? What's it trying to teach me? And I think that has kept me going when things get tough. And yeah, so that's what I'm proud about. I'm gonna keep going, until I can no longer keep going.
I love that. Yeah, looking for the silver lining because it is all part of the path.
I just want to say, think about like what your biggest intention is. And oftentimes it'll relate back to your own word, right? And that's the foundation piece of all my teaching and, prepping for success is integrity, which is being a man or woman of your word, being a person of integrity. Do what you said you're going to do and do it when you said you're going to do it, or don't say it at all. Because once you say it, it's out there in vibration, it's out there in the universe, and it reflects back on you. Where if you don't actually take action and do what you said you're going to do, the universe will reflect that back to you in the form of low self-esteem or low self-confidence, right? Because it's trying to show you, hey, you're not going to do it. And that's how you train your, a lot of people train their inner voices in a negative way that's not serving them, is because anytime next time they try to set a goal or an intention that I'm going to do this, the unconscious mind goes, "You're not going to do it. Remember the last time you said you're going to do this? You're not going to do it." And then that's how we train our low self-confidence and low self-esteem and our inner voice. So to break that cycle, to quiet that voice, it's only going to quiet when we actually take action and do what we said we're going to do, right? Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism, talks about the same thing. Honor your word. Go back to the Hindu traditions. It talks about satya, the truth of your word, right? Go even to the Bible, right? In the book of Matthew, it says, let your yes be yes, let your no be no. So, like all these kind of the studies that I was talking about earlier, they're saying the exact same thing in many different ways. But the foundation that everybody agrees on is integrity, is your own word. That's how you break the cycle of, sabotage or not achieving your goals, is just to take action. Yeah.
Well, that begins with trusting yourself, right? That integrity is that trusting that inner voice before that ego and the inner critic starts talking, that your inner knowing knows, okay, this is what I intend to do. I'm going to say yes when I really mean yes. And
Mhm.
I'm going to say no when I really mean no, so that there's not going to be an opportunity for me to say yes, but I really meant no. And then now I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
Like you said, don't say it at all. Right. So
Yeah.
if you aren't holding yourself to what you value or your true yes or your true no, then how could you possibly trust anyone else outside of you if you're not looking back within and being able to believe you?
Absolutely. Because if you don't believe in you, how do you expect the universe to believe in you? How do you expect others to believe in you? And if you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur or leader, how do you expect the team to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself? And the way you show up is how other people learn to show up with you, right? When you start showing up, your employees, your team, they suddenly start showing up too, because that's just the integrity. That's a core value. We are people of integrity. Otherwise, we're not going to say it. And a lot of times people would say, but I'm a person of integrity. I'm like, really? Take a look at your life. When's the last time you ran into an old friend at the airport or a shopping mall and you said, hey, it's so good to see you. We should totally catch up. When you know you have no desire or intention on ever catching up with them, you're better off just saying, I can't commit to it right now, but great seeing you. Like, leave it
Yeah.
at that. But we say things. Why? To try to look good. We want to be polite. these are all things we got to just learn to be ourselves and just speak our truth rather than, just saying, things for the sake of saying it to try to look good or not want to look bad. And that happens all the time. Let me call you back. I'm just in the middle of something. And then you never call them back. Notice these small little things. You might not notice it, but these things feed into each other. It's like a chain, and you got to break that chain. And the only way you're going to break it is by living through your word, like making really sure what you say you really mean. Make your words mean something, and then that is the only thing we're going to be left with in the end of the world. People are not going to remember me for the money that I made. People are not going to remember me for the stock market. Everything I've ever done 20, 50, 100 years from now is going to be gone, right? There's going to be new content. I'm going to be in page 100 of Google. Everything I'm going to ever done is going to be gone. But the only thing you're going to be remembering, or people are going to be remembering you for, is, wow, Amanda, she always did what she said she's going to do, right? Man, Anmol, yeah, that guy, when he said something, as good as done. That's what people are going to remember.
I love that. I think that's a powerful way to wrap up this episode.
Yeah.
Speak with integrity. That's what people are going to remember. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I will list all of your contact information in the show notes so people can look to find more from you.
No, it's great chatting with you.
Your word carries energy. Your choice creates momentum. So every time you honor your truth, you say yes when you mean yes, and you say no when you mean no, you build that trust, that deeper trust within yourself. That's integrity in action. That is the foundation of freedom. And as Anmol reminded us today, the path doesn't have to be clear to take the next step. It just has to be yours. So this week, write down one thing that you're ready to commit to yourself and follow through. Because your next step doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be real. And before you go, don't forget to register for my Back to the Heart live experience that is designed to help you shift your language, elevate your mindset, and manifest your next quantum leap. Join us on October 29th. Registration at the link below in the show notes. Until next time, keep coming back to the heart.